So I've been kind of at a crossroads lately. I don't really know exactly what to post. I don't really know exactly what to do. After so much content with the NFL draft and everything like that, I was kind of stuck. So really what I'm trying to do with this intro before we get into the video slash podcast, it will be available both in video form on YouTube and on all streaming platforms in audio version in case you don't want to see this face. And I understand you completely. But before we get into that, I just want to say that I was kind of stuck, didn't really know what kind of direction I wanted to take it into in terms of the YouTube channel and everything as a whole. So this will be my last video under this YouTube channel name. I am changing everything over. We have a new logo coming out. We have a new name. I really should say I now. I have a new name. I have a whole logo planned out. Everything should be rolling out by the end of this week. So today is the 18th. So I'm thinking anywhere between the 21st or the 22nd, everything will be changed over. So if you're wondering where TTL Sports went, it transitioned into something else. So just look out for that. But that's really what I wanted to say before we get into this video. So today the video is about the way too early 2022 NFL draft. Now, I never usually do things like this. I kind of think they're silly. In years past, I've always thought it was a little foolish to think to, try and even put all that effort into something that won't even be nearly right by the end of the college football season. But I thought I'd take a crack at it. It seems like a lot of fun. And now that I'm more into real draft-based things, I think that it's important to look at all the prospects really early on and kind of document it as you go along and change things as you go along. So obviously today is the way too early 2022 NFL draft. I'm really excited for this one. I took a lot of time, took a little bit of a break, kind of cleared my head and everything like that. I really wanted to give you guys a really good video, and I want to kind of go a little bit in depth into every prospect that I have, because really not a lot of us know too much about all these prospects. So I want get you as much information as I possibly could in as short of amount of time. So the way that I got the draft order for this video is I looked at the Vegas odds for the Super Bowl for 2022, and I based it off of that. Now, the order, I don't really agree with some of the spots. Like, I'll give you one, for instance. I believe the Washington football team was number 9 in the draft order. I don't agree with that. I think they're going to be a lot better. Same thing with the Giants. They were out like number 7. So as things become more clear and as the year goes along, obviously everything will change. But that was the best draft order that I could come up with right now. So without further ado, I'm going to get into it. Don't forget to click that little icon in the right-hand corner there. Please subscribe to the channel. Please like the video. It means so much. It helps me out so much to get into that algorithm and start gaining a little bit more popularity. So I really appreciate the support, and I hope you like the video. With the first overall pick, the Houston Texans select defensive end Kayvon Thibodeaux from Oregon. Thibodeaux is the favorite to be the number 1 overall pick, and for good reason. As a freshman in 2019, he accounted for 9 sacks and had 23.5 tackles for a loss so far in 2 seasons. With the uncertainty of the Deshaun Watson ordeal, Thibodeaux feels like the safest option for the Texans. With the 2nd overall pick, the Detroit Lions select quarterback Spencer Rattler from Oklahoma. Jared Goff is most likely going to be the starter in Detroit for the next 2 seasons. Rattler represents the long-term picture for the Lions. He was fantastic in his first season at Oklahoma, and as long as he can continue to shine in college and develop his game, he will be sitting pretty behind Goff until he is ready to start in Detroit. With the 3rd overall pick, the Jacksonville Jaguars select tackle Evan Neal from Alabama. With Cam Robinson franchise tagged and Jawan Taylor coming off of a horrendous sophomore season, the Jaguars might very well be in play for a tackle at number 3. The name of the game here is making Trevor Lawrence feel as comfortable as possible. I don't know about you, but I'd feel pretty comfortable if I had a 6'7", 359-pound mountain blocking in front of me like Evan Neal. With the 4th overall pick, the Cincinnati Bengals select tackle Charles Cross from Mississippi State. I love battle-tested SEC linemen. Cross ranks 4th in the nation in pass blocking snaps with 528 last season. He needs to put on a little bit more weight if he wants to play tackle. He currently sits at a measly 305 pounds. If Joe Burrow survives the 2021 season, I'm sure he would welcome Cross with open arms. Cross has yet to allow a sack in his collegiate career so far. With the 5th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles select quarterback Sam Howell from North Carolina. This is a tough call here. This pick obviously relies on how well Jalen Hurts plays this season. Howell has looked like a future first-round pick since his freshman season at North Carolina. With the loss of a lot of skill position talent, the spotlight will squarely be on Howell in 2021. If Jalen Hurts doesn't take a sizable step forward in year 2, Philadelphia will be in the quarterback market in the draft. With the 6th overall pick, the New York Jets select cornerback Derek Stingley Jr. from LSU. Skill-wise, Stingley could have played in the NFL the past 2 seasons. While his production dipped in 2020 after an otherworldly 2019, his length and traits are absolutely top of the first-round caliber. Stingley should be the first cornerback taken off the board, regardless if the Jets take him or not. With the 7th overall pick, the New York Giants select offensive lineman Kenyon Green from Texas A&M. If Daniel Jones plays better and looks like the franchise quarterback the Giants believe he is, then this pick should be made. A guard in the top 10 might sound silly, but with the Giants' interior offensive line being arguably their weakest link, it makes sense. Green is a huge man, at 6'4", 325 pounds. He will have this season to refine his game even more and would be able to step right into the Giants' offensive line. With the 8th overall pick, the Atlanta Falcons select linebacker Drake Jackson from USC. The Falcons have to add talent to the outside pass rush, and Jackson pieced together back-to-back productive campaigns for the Trojans. He is at an awkward weight right now at 255 pounds. He was more productive playing on the line in 2019. I would like to see him put a little bit more weight on and maximize his pass rushing ability. With the 9th overall pick, the Washington football team select quarterback Malik Willis from Liberty. If the Washington football team had a good franchise quarterback this season, they would be a dark horse contender in the NFC. This team is ready to compete right now. Malik Willis is a small school prospect out of Liberty and isn't particularly big, at just 6'1", 215 pounds. But what he lacks in size, he makes up for in athleticism and playmaking ability. With a good offensive line, good weapons, and a nasty defense, Willis would fall into a great situation to succeed early on. With the 10th overall pick, the Minnesota Vikings select safety Kyle Hamilton from Notre Dame. I really wanted to choose a quarterback here, but the Vikings just took Kellen Mond in the 3rd round. And you don't just waste 3rd-round picks on quarterbacks you don't think you can develop. Hamilton is a hyperactive safety who's as productive against the pass rush as he is on run plays. He's a fantastic blitzer too, and at 6'4", 219 pounds, he's more of a hybrid linebacker. Nonetheless, he makes things happen, and Mike Zimmer needs a chess piece he could plug into multiple positions to make an impact. With the 11th overall pick, the Las Vegas Raiders select quarterback Kedon Slovis from USC. Unless the Raiders somehow make the playoffs this season, after destroying their offensive line and converting one of their end zones into a fucking nightclub, Derek Carr is out, and it's time. Slovis is looking to break the Sam Darnold, Mark Sanchez, Matt Leinart, and Todd Marinovich mold and become a long-term success in the NFL. He's got good size, he's accurate, and can make all the necessary throws needed to help the Raiders take the next step towards playoff contention. With the 12th overall pick, the Pittsburgh Steelers select quarterback Desmond Ridder out of Cincinnati. Ridder represents the athleticism that the Steelers have been craving at the quarterback position. Ridder is a big body at 6'4", 215 pounds. He's a strong thrower of the football and is lethal when moving outside the pocket. With Big Ben's career surely coming to an end after this season, Ridder would be a great heir apparent for the Steelers. With the 13th overall pick, the Carolina Panthers select linebacker Christian Harris from Alabama. What a shock! Another draft upcoming, and here we are talking about another fantastic Alabama linebacker prospect. Harris is an absolute unit at 6'2", 244 pounds, with the lateral quickness to move sideline to sideline. The Panthers could use a little bit more stability in the middle of their improving defense, and Harris has some Luke Kuechly traits in him. With the 14th overall pick, the Tennessee Titans select wide receiver Justin Ross from Clemson. The first wide receiver is finally off the board. Ross didn't play in 2020 due to a neck injury, but is set to return for the Tigers. Early in Trevor Lawrence's career, Ross actually outplayed T. Higgins for some stretches. Ross is a monster with a huge catch radius. As long as he can come back from his injury and perform like he did in 2019, he should be the first wide receiver off the board for a wide receiver needy team like the Tennessee Titans. With the 15th overall pick, the New York Giants, from the Chicago Bears, select linebacker Ventrell Miller from Florida. The Giants are building an extremely talented all-around team. Let's give Dave Gettleman some credit where credit is due. Besides much-needed help on the offensive line, they lack real athleticism at the linebacker position behind Blake Martinez. Ventrell Miller really broke out in 2020. The 6'1", 230-pound linebacker is a tackling machine. He could add much-needed stability and pass rushing ability from the middle of the defense. With the 16th overall pick, the New Orleans Saints select cornerback Sevyn Banks from Ohio State. Banks is the next in line at the cornerback spot for the Ohio State program. He has had 9 pass breakups over his past 2 seasons for the Buckeyes. The athleticism, production, and pedigree are there for him. Outside of Marshawn Lattimore, there isn't much talent in the Saints secondary, and we all know how they love their Ohio State players. Banks is a perfect fit at this point in the first round for the New Orleans Saints. With the 17th overall pick, the New York Jets, from the Seattle Seahawks, select tight end Jalen Weidermeyer from Texas A&M. Sure, there are other positions of need, but the Jets haven't had a good, consistent tight end since Dustin Keller. There is no way of telling how Zach Wilson's rookie year is going to go, but judging from their current roster, they are in desperate need of a guy like Weidermeyer. A defense's nightmare at 6'5", 265 pounds, he could do it all in the middle of the field and become a go-to red zone target for years to come. With the 18th overall pick, the New England Patriots select wide receiver George Pickens from Georgia. Pickens is personally my favorite wide receiver prospect from this upcoming class. But with the recent news of Pickens' ACL injury, his draft stock will most likely take a massive hit. But make no mistake about it, when Pickens is healthy, he is one of, if not the smoothest route runners in this class, to go along with his size and good speed. The Patriots spent a ton of money on offense this offseason, but didn't address the wide receiver position as well as they should have. If Pickens is here at 18, the Patriots should scoop up their new number 1 wide receiver. With the 19th overall pick, the Philadelphia Eagles, from the Miami Dolphins, select defensive lineman DeMarvin Leal from Texas A&M. Once upon a time, the Eagles had the deepest, most talented defensive line in football. While players like Fletcher Cox and Brendan Graham are still there, they need to start getting younger and more talented. DeMarvin Leal is a block-eating, run-stuffer that could start immediately in the heart of the Eagles' defensive line. He generates a ton of pressure up the middle, which does not show up on the stat sheets all the time. With the 20th overall pick, the Los Angeles Chargers select defensive end Kingsley Enagbare from South Carolina. The Chargers have one of the premium pass rushers in the game in Joey Bosa. But in today's NFL, having one great pass rusher might not be enough, especially when Bosa comes with injury concerns. Enagbare is coming off of his best season for the Gamecocks, with 7 tackles for a loss and 6 sacks. He slots into the hole that Melvin Ingram will leave behind in Los Angeles. With the 21st overall pick, the Arizona Cardinals select cornerback Andrew Booth Jr. from Clemson. The Cardinals picked up a couple solid late-round corners in the 2021 NFL Draft, but they still have a glaring need for some talent at the cornerback position. Andrew Booth Jr. is coming off of a great sophomore season and is only poised to develop and improve. At 6 foot and 195 pounds, he isn't the biggest corner out there, but his playmaking ability more than makes up for it. With the 22nd overall pick, the Dallas Cowboys select defensive back Kaiir Elam from Florida. Elam is coming off of a monster 2020 season where he intercepted 2 passes and broke up another 11. The Cowboys secondary was historically bad in 2020, and with few upgrades to that secondary, I can't imagine the unit improving too much. If Elam continues to improve, he would be tremendous value at 22. With the 23rd overall pick, the Indianapolis Colts select wide receiver Garrett Wilson from Ohio State. In only 8 games last season, Wilson managed 723 yards and averaged 16.8 yards per catch. Wilson is a master at creating separation and has elite ball skills. With T.Y. Hilton probably gone after this upcoming season, Wilson will be a perfect replacement as the deep threat burner for Carson Wentz and the Colts. With the 24th overall pick, the Denver Broncos select defensive lineman Aiden Hutchinson from Michigan. The Broncos will look to get younger and faster along the entire defensive line after this season, especially with an aging Von Miller probably gone. Hutchinson missed most of 2020, but his 2019 season was as solid as they come, with 70 tackles, including 10 for a loss, and 3.5 sacks. He is one of the more polished defensive prospects in the entire class. With the 25th overall pick, the Green Bay Packers select quarterback JT Daniels from Georgia. Alright, I know what's coming. Oh, Peter, you idiot. The Packers have Jordan Love when they trade Aaron Rodgers. Why do they need this guy? Hear me out. Reports are surfacing that Love might not be ready to take over for A-Rod this year. So tell me, what first-round quarterback needs 2+ years to adjust to the NFL before playing a snap if this is the case? I never liked Love as a prospect, and I don't think his game will translate well to the NFL. If the Packers trade Aaron Rodgers, they will be in the market for another quarterback after this season. JT Daniels is poised to be one of the biggest draft risers of any quarterback in this upcoming class. With the 26th overall pick, the Cleveland Browns select wide receiver Chris Olave from Ohio State. Here's a guy that probably could have been a second or third round pick if he decided to leave after last season. Many people only found out about Chris Olave after the dismantling of Clemson in January. The kicker is, he's been as productive as they come over the last couple seasons, putting up 1,569 yards across his last 20 games. It seems that Odell will probably be gone after this season, and Olave's game reminds me a lot of 2015 OBJ. He has the potential to be electric in Cleveland. With the 27th overall pick, the Miami Dolphins from the San Francisco 49ers select running back Isaiah Spiller from Texas A&M. Good God, do you want to throw up? Look at the Dolphins' running back depth. The Dolphins have to continue to surround Tua with great players to help him develop and mask his limitations. A workhorse running back would help him tremendously. Isaiah Spiller is a 225-pound beast who is also a great receiver out of the backfield, putting up 2,378 total yards with 19 total touchdowns in 2 seasons. I don't usually like first-round running backs, but the Dolphins don't have many holes, so a starting running back at the end of the first round is good value. With the 28th overall pick, the Detroit Lions from the Los Angeles Rams select wide receiver Treylon Burks from Arkansas. The Lions really need some offensive firepower. TJ Hawkinson, Rashad Perryman, and Tyrell Williams are never going to cut it. Treylon Burks can be that instant number 1 option. He's absolutely beefy at 6'3", 232 pounds. He was the clear number 1 for Arkansas, putting up 820 yards and 7 touchdowns in 2020. Anyone that can consistently put up numbers against SEC opponents should be looked at hard. Remember the name Treylon Burks. With the 29th overall pick, the Buffalo Bills select cornerback Ahmad Gardner from Cincinnati. A massive upgrade opposite of Trey White is needed. The Bills can score at will, but we occasionally saw them get torched on defense. Ahmad Gardner's production has been fantastic, with 6 picks and 12 pass breakups in the last 2 seasons. He needs to check his hands a bit though. He is a little handsy. I would like to see him focus on that this season. Gardner has all the tools to be an elite number 2 cornerback in the NFL. With the 30th overall pick, the Baltimore Ravens select safety Jordan Battle from Alabama. One of the weaker areas for a very solid Ravens defense, Deshaun Elliott is a nice player, but Chuck Clark's contract is ending, and it might be time to upgrade. Battle is extremely versatile. He could line up all over the field and even play in the slot. Getting a Swiss Army knife at the back end of the first round is tremendous value, especially to a defensive coordinator that will maximize his potential in Don Martindale. With the 31st overall pick, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select center Tyler Linderbaum from Iowa. At this rate, Tom Brady will be playing until he's 50, so getting him as much protection as possible is essential. Ryan Jensen is coming off of a not-so-great season where he was constantly getting flagged and giving up pressure. Linderbaum is coming from the offensive lineman factory at Iowa. He's very green, he's going to need to put on a little bit more weight, and he needs reps. But the talent is clearly there, and I expect him to be in the first-round conversation when it's all said and done. With the 32nd overall pick, the Kansas City Chiefs select cornerback Josh Jobe from Alabama. Jobe was an animal last season for Bama, and really flashed first-round potential, accumulating 55 tackles and 11 pass breakups. He has first-round size at 6'1", 192 pounds, and he has the polish,
playing in 27 college games already. The Chiefs found a gem in the 2020 draft in L'Jarius Sneed, and they look to continue that trend with Joby at the end of the first round.